Hey, it's Dan Hall and welcome to finals week. Bosh.
And that's perfect.
Sweet.
Yeah. And Dan, in finals week, you've secured a semi-final across 2 leagues against Melbourne Victory. When you were watching everything unfold, was Melbourne Victory a team that you wanted to play against in the semi-final? Did you have a preferred team to come up against?
Honestly, my preference, I don't think I really had a preference. If you want to be champions, you got to beat every team. So I feel like I'm almost excited to go to Melbourne because I know they have good crowds, and as footballers, you just want to play in front of big crowds. So I'm very keen, and just can't wait to get down there.
And you'll be hoping for a big navy blue wall down the Northern Terrace.
Exactly. I think, to be fair, I've seen some of the port already travelling down in numbers, which is huge.
How good's that?
But yeah, it's unbelievable, and I've played at Amy for a couple of times where they have a big home support, and when they're singing that song and stuff, it's actually a cool vibe.
So yeah, they walk out, and Evangeline might be playing the violin, right?
Yeah.
But they play "Stand by Me," and that's their anthem. So when does that actually start being played? Is that when you're in the tunnel, or is it you walking out and you hear "Stand by Me"?
It's when you're walking out, because I remember sometimes. I catch myself trying not to sing along, I know it sounds bad, but
so you're in the tunnel.
No, it's when you're walking out, you just hear the dun dun, and then if I know a song, I'm going to try and sing it. So obviously, I try to hold back from doing that.
Those Fijian roots are strong.
It's probably a bad look. But no, it's credit to Melbourne support. They sing along with it. So it's good for the game.
It's funny what you say, Evangeline getting on the violin. Earlier this season, didn't Auckland FC try something similar with a guy playing the saxophone?
Yeah.
And honestly, when I tuned in, I thought it was you. I thought it was you. Then, Sky have abandoned half-time show, and they're just like, well, I don't know if you're musically gifted or not. The guy looked like a dead ringer for you.
Ian, you bringing the saxophone guy back for the finals?
Okay. All right. Yeah, but just quickly before you carry on, I was going to say, how awesome is it that the Port are going to get over there to Melbourne and watch you guys play? Because that was the rallying call that Guillermo put out there last week on the Unused Subs, and the support that has been there for the club right from day one has been absolutely remarkable. And I suppose as a professional footballer, you don't really know what you're going to get until you turn up. But they've been there since day one. They've stayed all the way through. And it's to the point now where they're more than comfortable heading across the ditch to watch you play in a First League semi-final. That's fantastic for you guys.
Crazy, man. As I said, coming in to a new team, you really don't know what type of the support you're going to get. I'm not trying to shame any other clubs, but if you look across the leagues, Auckland's, the Port are probably,
it's a contrast compared to other expansion
100%.
sides, right?
So even just that first away game, we played in a friendly against, I think it was one of Auckland United. We played them for our first ever friendly game, and they were there with the flares and stuff. And just watching it grow has been unbelievable. I mean, sometimes it takes years for an expansion team to get that type of support, and for the fact that we've done it in one season is credit to the Port.
When they start their walk from the top of the stairs at Mount Smart down, Raf, the commercial manager,
he's holding the flares.
He holds the flares, but he always lets it go right as we're about to come on air. So they do their walk about half an hour before, and we just get pummeled. Just covered in blue smoke.
Do you reckon it's accidental?
No, it's happening too much. Yeah. Little fan behind
stop blowing it.
Yeah.
He's hearing the floor manager do the countdown. He's like,
I can't see.
Let's go.
He watches the hands behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, everyone, waft the blue.
Refs coordinating the Port. But what does this week look like for you? So one of the challenges was you didn't know who you were playing, and you could have potentially gone to Adelaide, to Melbourne, or to Sydney. So your logistics person, I imagine, was having a headache over the weekend. But now that you've got that set, what does a finals week look like for you? It's Monday, so you've trained, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, so honestly, I just look at the schedule and take it day by day, but I think obviously there's a lot more that goes into it. But I know for a fact that we're training tomorrow. Wednesday, I think we're coming in, but just a recovery day, and then Thursday we're going to travel to Melbourne. So we started going -2, so we have an extra day just to get used to. I know it's only 2 hours or whatnot, but I think they say we play better when we go 2 days before. So we've started doing that now, and and then it's game time.
And how annoying or frustrating has it been to do extra media appearances?
This isn't a media appearance. This is just three lads
this is
sitting around yarning, mate. We are completely different. Completely different.
But has it been a busier week for you? Like, there's more interest.
To be fair, like, this is my first. Actually, I don't consider this a media commitment. This is just.
Neither do we, mate.
Yeah,
Neither do we.
I was honoured that you guys would finally get me on the pod.
We're honoured that you turned up, man.
mate.
Thanks so much.
Does
it only
Ian
took
come
you
with
like
you?
5 other Aucklanders before
Oh,
I got on, but it's fine.
Saving the best for last. Saving the best for last.
Yeah.
So we're not doing another Auckland player. Does Ian usually come to you when you're hanging out? Or?
No, to be fair, Ian's the boy now. Like, he hooked me up with a PlayStation promo, and I got a PlayStation out of it. So he says jump, I say how high. So shout out to Ian.
Wow. When it comes to PlayStation, what are you doing? Are you sports focused or something else? Are you playing FIFA or what?
So at the moment, it's funny. There's a group of about 8 of us in the team. We have pro clubs, so like FIFA, but it's where you control one player.
Right.
And
yes.
we've been playing that. We've been jamming that pretty regularly.
Are you playing as yourself? Like you take
actually,
control
who are you
of
playing
Dan
as?
Hall with Auckland FC or what?
So, thing is,
Be honest.
I don't know if I want this.
There's
on the pod.
hesitation here. There's hesitation.
So, my guy, I'm the striker and the captain.
Right, of course.
That's my two. That's in my contract. If I want to play that, I have to be a captain and striker.
I love it how he's like admitting that he doesn't want to be a centre back.
Striker, captain. My guy, I don't know. Like, this is just now cringe, but it's funny to the boys.
Go on.
Please.
So I've named my guy Danny Hall, and every time I score, I sing my own song. I can't believe I'm just.
Can we have a rendition?
No, I can't.
Did you make it up, or is it like based on another kind of football chant?
No, it's the one the Port sing.
The Port singer.
You know,
Come on, mate.
I'm in
you
commentary.
need to get.
He's
you
too
need to get
busy
in
learning the
Port.
I'm
saxophone.
not.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think that can go to social. I'm just
So
gonna
good.
blame.
So good. Yeah. Have you scored a goal yet, Dan? This A-League
big
season?
question.
It's pretty much the only thing you haven't done.
You should see me on pro clubs. I score all the time.
That wasn't the question, Daniel.
No, unfortunately this season I haven't. But I was out for a lot, so I feel like.
So
Jump on
maybe you'll do half a nude run or something at the end of the season if you haven't broken that duck.
Yeah, I still got touchwood 3 games to go. So
Yeah.
got
Touchwood,
time.
3 games to go.
Yes.
Spoon was talking about the lead into the game this week. What was the week like after winning the Premier's Plate? Because Guillermo said there were a few beers consumed and maybe a little bit of champagne as well out of the Premier's Plate. And so, you go from being very, very dusty after claiming the plate to I'm hopeful that everybody's 100% fit now, very focused on the task at hand. A little bit of a difference between the 2 weeks, yeah?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Obviously, because we'd won it, we knew we'd won it, but like I feel like we still wanted to go to Western United and win because we wanted to keep building momentum. It wasn't our plan to go there and lose. Obviously, we want to win every game we play, so we were disappointed in the result. But I guess it's kind of just a good learning curve for us just to bounce back, and hopefully this week we do that.
Has that re-stoked the fire though? Because I mean, I imagine as much as you try and battle against it, there's a sense of complacency that kind of creeps in. But was the game against Western a reminder that you need to be sharp to go far into these playoffs?
Definitely. I think just any team on their day can beat anyone, and you've seen that numerous times. I mean, earlier in the year, we lost to Perth, who obviously didn't have the best of years. But I think, it's just a reminder that, if we're not showing up, we can lose games. And I think we just have to go into Melbourne with that fight and that determination we usually do show in games.
But with you, mate, like Auckland FC just cannot lose because you don't lose. With the Central Coast Mariners over the last couple of years, you've won what? 1, 2, 3, 5.
Do you want to
titles?
apologise? Do you want to apologise to the rest of the A-League for being greedy?
No, respectfully, no. I'll take my championships and call it a day. Thank you.
So with all of that success, you must be relatively confident about how to handle this time of year yourself. with a brand new club like Auckland FC, and you've got guys like Steve Corica who have been through finals periods and won the toilet seat before, Alex Paulson with Wellington Phoenix last year, he played the semi-final with Wellington Phoenix. Is it a time for you to really step up and lead the squad through this period because of that experience and because of your success? You know what to do.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like for me personally, it's just about always just trying to be a good teammate, and where I can help out. But I feel like just being, reliable and just keeping the change room. For me, I find that I'm quite good at just keeping it lighthearted and just creating a more relaxed environment, which I feel for a team, that's huge, because obviously it's stressful times if you really start to think about it's do or die when it comes to finals football. So just keeping it in perspective and then just trying not to think about it too much till it's actually game day.
We attempt at times, we haven't done it for a while, but to address cliches like, take it a day at a time, that sort of stuff. And what you've said there is you want to treat the playoffs the same as any other game. For those at home who are like, oh yeah, all right, yeah, it's just, Dan's talking to media, so he's not really giving them an answer.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So run of the mill, roll it out, move on. But is that genuinely how you approach this, that you want to keep it the same vibe as it was during the season, perhaps just at times acknowledging the greater sense of jeopardy that the playoffs bring? Yeah,
I think mainly for me, it's just not just downplaying that the achievement of us being in finals football. When you deep it, expansion club straight into semi-final football is huge. So I just want to really enjoy the experience and hopefully not get too caught up in the game. And just once I take it all in, then finals football, I guess everyone gets up for it, so you don't have to worry if you're going to be up for it or not, because it is really do or die. So that first leg away, we want to get off to a good start, and I think it's more just the excitement and just the adrenaline pumping when it gets closer to the game.
So you wake up with the butterflies, you're ready to go. It's about managing it into that evening kickoff.
Yeah, I think so. And I guess obviously every player is different, but for me personally, I don't like to all week, 12 a.m. looking at the roof, just thinking about the game. That's like 5 days from now.
It burns you out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's more just a more relaxed approach till that game day where, it kind of builds from there.
Some of the players in your squad will be like that. They'll be staring at the ceiling at midnight going, holy shit, we are about to play a semi-final. Are you there in the evenings with them, helping them get to sleep? Maybe a little bit of chamomile tea or a wee massage or something like that?
Honestly, no. Honestly, no.
Tangent.
I live by myself, so I'm not going out on their house calls to look after every member. I'm sure they'll be good.
That's interesting. So you live on your own, and previously with the Mariners, you were in a household full of players.
Yeah.
So coming to Auckland, has that been a very intentional step that you've taken to separate your personal life from your professional?
Yeah, I think I'm 25 now, so I just wanted that a bit more freedom just to do my own thing. I really enjoyed my time with the Mariners when I was housing with some of the boys, my teammates, but obviously you train with them, you live with them, so there's no real separation. You're literally
too much football in your life.
Yeah, brothers, which was a great experience, but I'm really enjoying just just being able to just do my own thing and having a bit of peace and quiet when I'm at my own place.
Now, Melbourne Victory, they have a myriad of attacking threats. On one side, you've got Daniel Arzani, you've got Velupile, you've got Piscopo as well. So many guys that are talented with ball at feet. Yet in 2 games, you haven't conceded against them. A 0-0 draw and then 2-0 just 3.5 weeks ago. So what are the keys as a central defender and a unit with De Vries and Piney and Sakai? What are the keys to nullifying those attacking threats?
I think just being so disciplined. I think we showed it all year that the defensive unit, it really starts from the front. And, shout out Geisha and Max. They do an unreal job at starting that press, and then I could name the whole team, to be honest, because everyone's so disciplined. I feel like it's a team-first mentality, which is probably the biggest thing that's helped us this year. So we're going all the way back, and then it's just, very strong, obviously talented players like Nando, Hiroki, Franny. You can just talk for ages about them, and then if you do mess up and they get in behind, then you have that guy called AP behind you. So, again, he's built different too, so it's good.
let's just look at that defensive unit. It's been arguably the most impressive aspect of Auckland's play this year. As you said, so disciplined, and from what I've picked up there, very respectful of the opponent as well. But the ability has just been there for everyone to see, individually and collectively. So is it almost like you don't want to let your teammates down? And looking at those teammates, I think every one of you is over 6'2", so that must be intimidating for the opposition, mate. Just a unit of units, if you will. But is there now a sense of pride in what you guys have been able to achieve in upholding those standards?
Yeah, I think when we started the season off so well and we had so many clean sheets, it kind of became a thing of, that's where we're really proud of that, and we want to just keep building.
I've forgotten about that, mate. Yeah, 6 games, no goals.
Exactly. And then from there, that mentality shift of just, we take pride in defending our own goal, and I think everyone bought into that. Like, I don't think there's many other teams in the league where you'll see like the wingers do that much tracking back and that much defensive work. It's honestly like, that's why I would never be a winger, because the amount of running that Logs and Marley get through is ridiculous, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah. Save that for the club football, huh?
Yeah, it's one of the things that Guillermo was talking about, the amount of running that you have to do in this league, and if you're not fit, then you aren't going to be a success. And so, even as a central defender, you've got to be as fit as humanly possible, right? Otherwise, you're just not going to cut it in this league.
Yeah, I think so. I was actually like, first day of preseason, I was actually the most unfit in the whole team. So
is that right? The most unfit?
I had heard this, Dan.
Yeah, I think since I'm outing myself already, I may as well keep going.
This is like, we're just going to call this podcast the Dan Hall Revelation.
Yeah. No, genuinely, coming into that first day of preseason, I was clear as day, most unfit. And
how did that happen?
Good off season, man.
Good off season, yes.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, enjoyable off season, and I think also, like, I'm not trying to defend myself, but some of the boys came from National League, so they were already match fit. You know what I'm saying?
It's coming across quite defensive.
Yeah,
but I think it's factual as well.
No, it is. Yeah,
but it's also smart from me, because now, if you start at the bottom, it's only up from there.
That's right.
Like Franny, I'm playing chess, they're playing checkers. Because Franny now, he comes into first day and he smashes everyone,
He's not improving.
And now he has to just run more than everyone.
He's just got to stay there all season long. It's easier for you to come up from the bottom. Exactly. He's got to stay there. Yeah.
Any improvement from me, everyone gets around me. Whereas Franny has to win by ages, and everyone just expects it of him.
He's literally got to turn into Superman.
Exactly.
That's the only way that he's going to impress anyone.
And not only is he defending, but he gets forward, mate, and those deliveries into the box. Yeah. It was one thing that a lot of the Australian media, and perhaps fair enough, they were surprised. They're like, where's he come from? But what's an aspect of Franny's mentality more than anything that's so impressive?
Just when I mean, if you talk to Franny, he'll tell you, I always asked him about how he got so good at crossing, and he tells me the story about how he was never making teams, so he wanted a point of difference. So then he'd take himself to the park when he was younger, just practice his crossing, practice his set pieces, and that's really like, it's that weapon's in his toolkit now, and it's unbelievable. I get to just stand there and watch him just put balls on dimes for the boys, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's done it time and again, eh? An absolute weapon out there on the left for you. You missed a massive chunk of the season with a broken ankle.
Yeah.
And I want to go back in time a couple of years, because obviously the Mariners have had success before you've come to Auckland, and the first of the grand finals you actually missed out on as a starter because you got injured that year. And then you were essentially replaced by Nectar Triantis, right? And so you got on as a substitute, but there must have been a little bit of feeling of like, oh God, I didn't get back into that starting 11. Now you injure yourself with Auckland. Was there at any point along that rehab journey that you might not get back into that starting 11, given the depth in the position? We've got Hiroki Sakai who can shift over, and obviously Tommy Smith does a great job. Yeah. So at any point, was there doubt creeping into your mind?
Yeah, I feel like I personally thought I started the season quite well, and then obviously injuries happened. So when I was injured, it sucked. But for me, it was just, as I mentioned before, I came back to preseason most unfit. So I didn't want to get back to that stage. So my 3 months in rehab, I just really focused on just when I do get the opportunity again to take it with both hands. And, I was fortunate that, cards fell my way, and Nando was suspended the week I was coming back, and everything just fell into place like that. But I was aware that, if you lose your shirt, you might not always get it back. So with that mentality, I was prepared to wait my time, but I was just by fate, I was just lucky enough that I got to be straight in there and, fight for my spot again.
Hiroki Sakai. Clash of cultures, familiarising himself with the New Zealand, playing at World Cups. Like, these are all challenges that he's had to take on. And he keeps on saying that his English isn't fantastic, which I'm not having that, by the way.
He's getting caught on.
I'm not having that. But what's it like playing with someone who's achieved in football like Hiroki has?
Yeah, I think until you really dive into where he's been and who he's played for, you don't realise that. Like, I'll give you a story. Because we sit together at lunch as like the tables,
and he's got stories.
That's the thing. He does get stories if you
get it. If
you get it out of him.
Yeah, right.
Firstly, yes, he speaks English fine, but he's just his English has got a lot better. He does extra studying outside of it to work on his English.
This
so
is
he's
how
very dedicated.
humble he is, though. Oh, my English isn't good enough. I don't feel like I do a good enough job. You're like, mate, we'd just love to have you on for these stories.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what's he got at the lunch table?
Oh, well, so we all sit together and we're just talking about, so Louis Verstraete, who was obviously Belgium, he's Belgium, and we're just talking about, I think it was something about when De Bruyne was leaving Man City, and I was just asking him, have you played against De Bruyne before, like Louis? And he's like, oh, no, I never have. And then I just started listing people, like, oh, Benteke, like, I'm just talking to Louis, and Hiroki's here just eating his meal next to me. And then I get to someone, and I'm like, oh, like, I'm trying to name these players, and I'm like, oh, what about Fellaini? Have you ever versed Fellaini? And he's like, no, I haven't. And then Hiroki just stops talking, goes, man, this guy's so tall. And I say, everyone just kind of looks at him. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh man, I had to mark him in corners. He was so hard to mark.
Right. And then, the afro.
Yeah, the afro. Yeah. And then we're talking about it, and we're like, oh, that's crazy. And like, he's like, yeah, and the balls were getting whipped in so good by Hazard. He's crossing these balls in, and it's just like, that's like the type of players he's versed. And I'm sitting here just trying to. I think it's just cool. Like, I've played with these guys on FIFA, but that's about as far as my success goes.
You've scored goals against these guys as Danny Hall up front.
Yeah, exactly. But as I said, like, he would never.
He's never going to volunteer.
Exactly. He's just. That just shows how humble he is, And then we found out about, how he used to Neymar in the derbies, when he was over in Marseille versus PSG. So,
yeah.
But like, he wouldn't openly tell you about that. You have to dig and find out. So it just goes to show how much of a humble guy he is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like a strategy, but like the afro was huge.
Yeah.
So like he was like even more imposing.
Intimidation factor.
He was kind of like the light that we've got up there, mate.
Don't look directly at it, like I just did. Almost like a taller Alex Paulson, because AP, he was rocking a little bit of a high. So he's sort of trimmed it down a little bit. But I think because he's like a shorter goalkeeper, he's used that previously to give himself an extra couple of inches.
Goalkeeper. He's a normal size goalkeeper.
Is he your height?
He's exactly my height.
He's exactly your height.
I rate it, No, but I mean, to me, when you see some of the performances he does, he looks like about 7 foot. So fair play to AP.
You're right. He's not the tallest goalkeeper. He's good with his feet.
With his feet. He's great with his feet, mate.
Exactly.
Great with his feet.
So you've got confidence playing out, but his main job is keeping the ball out the back of the net.
Yeah.
That game in Melbourne last time out, 1-0 up. What are you thinking as you turn around there?
Yeah. I'm thinking 1-1, man. Honestly, like when I seen it just come off the guy's head, and
Virgos, I think it was.
And the way it was going in, if that goes in the net, you're not angry at AP. You're saying fair play. You're blaming the defenders. You're not blaming AP because you expect I don't know who saves that. Apparently he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when he pulled that out, it was almost like behind him, and he's managed to the reactions on him is just world class.
Just goalkeeper geeking for a second. So he's going to his right. It's not a looped up cross. It's a flat ball in from a more central position. So the angle isn't something you'd be used to.
Yeah.
And he's going to his right.
Yeah.
So he has to come back and go to his left.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is it skips in onto him.
Yeah, it bounced,
Like the timing to get that sort of contact and get the ball out of the danger area, because it could have easily just gone 2 yards out and then you're battling with Virgos to try and get a toe on the ball. But he gets rid of it, mate.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like a coming of age moment where you're like, all right, cool, yeah,
I
big
was
moment.
thinking, what was
Big-
the
big
big
goalkeeper.
save from years ago? Was it Gordon Banks? Was it Gordon
Yeah.
Banks that did the parry it up over the top of the crossbar? It was sort of that kind of style of save where,
Yeah.
and you're right, Dan. Like nobody gave him a chance of saving it, but because it's AP,
Yeah.
he keeps it out. It's one of the many qualities of the man, which is going to see him head offshore at the end of this season. I suppose the good thing for you guys is that you've got another exceptional keeper in the back pocket there, in Valdi,
Yeah.
that will just come in and in a World Cup year for the All Whites, be able to show the
Exactly.
national selectors what he's got in
Yeah.
his locker as well. So it speaks to the incredible depth that Auckland FC has.
Yeah, let's keep talking goalkeepers. This is great. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah. How far down the line do you want to go, man?
Till we get to me, 52. All right,
dear.
should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it, mate.
And here's your starting 11.
All right, starting 11, Dan. Rapid fire. These usually don't go rapid fire, by the way.
damn.
Right, what is the worst ground you've had to travel to?
I think last year in Asian Cup we faced MacArthur, and I don't know if they just got their field re-turfed or something, but it was not nice. Yeah,
Yeah, so just couldn't stand?
yeah. Or last year Asian Cup we played on Astro in the Philippines. That was up there. It was not enjoyable on the knees.
What's your pre-match meal?
Usually just eggs. Mainly just eggs if I'm at home, or if I'm away on the away trip, I'll have some pasta. But it's one or the other.
So not steak and eggs for breakfast?
No, I save that because I feel like you need some sort of carbs
That's-
or something.
that's a treat.
That's what
Yeah,
the professionals tell me. So that's why I try to stick by that.
Who's your roommate?
I get shipped around, man. So because when I got injured, obviously everything changed. But the most
Okay, so who was your roommate before you got injured?
it was Louis Verstraat, and then when I got injured, I came back and I was with Max Matter for a bit, and then now the most recent couple away trips I've been with Liam Gillian. So yeah, he's a good roommate. Yeah,
Nice.
Shout out Gilly.
Gillian Mbappe.
Yeah, sure, we can say that.
I got so many messages saying you got to call him Gillian Mbappe. So I did it once and they loved it.
Who's they?
Gillian's
Horse?
parents.
Oh, yeah.
Mum and Dad, eh?
Whole bunch of bots that just
Yeah, here's an idea, son.
DM me on Insta. All right, golf handicap.
Not a golfer. Yeah.
Where is a
no.
place that you've been in your career that you want to go back to visit?
We played Bali United last year, so I wouldn't mind going back to Bali.
To play again or do something else
I
in
thought
Bali?
just to visit, right?
Yeah,
I'd play there, and
yeah.
I think visiting would be fun
Yeah,
too.
it'd be a
Yeah.
great place to visit.
I
mate.
went to Bali a few years back, and anyone who knows me knows I've got a terrible stomach.
Yeah,
And
right.
I got Bali belly
Oof.
badly halfway through my 7-day trip, and it ruined everything. I tried to go to see the monkeys in the monkey forest, and almost shat my pants.
Yeah, right.
It was not
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 ideal.
fun. No,
Yeah.
no. So my suggestion to you is when you go back there, just make sure you take lots of those charcoal tablets.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There you go, free advice there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First club.
First club was called Lions FC in Brisbane.
Favorite non-footballing athlete.
I don't really know, honestly. I don't really watch much sport, if I'm honest. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think I have one really right now off the top of my head.
We'll go Danny Hall, EAFC.
Yeah, my pro clubs guy, he gets the job done.
Honestly, that's a first time
Yeah.
happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've usually people say, oh, it's Novak Djokovic or it's Roger Federer or whoever, but
Speaks to the fact that I think people assume sports people are like mad focused on sport, right?
Yeah.
But you've got to switch off at some point, mate. Absolutely.
100%.
The movie that you want to go back and watch for the first time.
Probably one of the Rush Hours. Like top movie, you know, and it just
Rush Hour.
really enjoyed Rush Hour.
Well,
I was laughing the whole way
Jackie
through.
Chan, Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
what do you-
yeah.
And all the outtakes at the end of the movie,
Yeah,
are
there's-
just that's almost better than the movie itself.
The team you supported growing up.
My first kit was an Arsenal shirt, so I say I'm an Arsenal supporter, but as I said, I don't really watch sport too much. So
All right.
Yeah,
but what have you
right.
got? You got like an Henri on the back, or have you got like?
I think it was an Henri shirt, my first shirt that I got,
Mm.
but then when I got more into it, I was a big Fabregas fan. So.
Yeah, Did you have the mullet?
No, but I had a budgie called Fabregas.
Isn't that weird? So I had a cockatiel called BG, named after who? Liverpool player with the initials BG.
BG. Oh my God.
This is going back a long time. I was a kid when I had the cockatiel.
BG.
Goalkeeper.
Oh, Bruce Grobbelaar.
Bruce Grobbelaar. My
right.
cockatiel was called Bruce Grobbelaar.
You went for a goalkeeper.
Well, because he was a real character, and I loved Liverpool. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Did you also fix games?
I wasn't good enough to fix them, man.
Didn't get that close. Yeah. What's the worst injury you've had?
Probably my broken ankle this year.
Yeah.
Would be up there.
And then lastly, your coffee order.
I'm basic. I just get like a latte. I'm not really the biggest coffee drinker, but if I'm going to a cafe, I'll just get a latte. So
it's hard not to be a coffee drinker in a football team, right? Like it's one of the things you do.
It's kind of like culture. Because I upgraded from like iced chocolates and hot chocolates, so I needed like a coffee order. So that's what I go for, just a latte.
You don't have to upgrade, mate. I'm in my mid-40s now. I'm still on the hot chocolate.
Oh, fair play to you.
Yeah.
And here's your starting 11.
One last thing before you go. You spent a long time at the Mariners.
Yeah.
Is there sauce in those bottles?
Oof. That's a great question. I don't think so.
You know what I'm talking about, man. They're bloody oversized things at the end of the field.
It's like a big inflatable, but I've never actually got too close to it. Yeah.
It was an iconic
maybe
sponsorship.
maybe that's an idea so we can bring over here. Just
Yeah.
giant sauce bottles with
Giant
actual
sauce
sauce in
bottle.
them.
I feel like Auckland FC is a team to do it. I mean, they've
Yeah.
got a giant slide and they've had a beach at the northern end of Mount Smart
Just
Stadium.
right next to it, just sauce bottles. Sponsored by you two. Shit, just, no.
All I can afford is an actual sauce bottle. No one's going to be able to see it.
I just think it's great that we've got a former player in Jason Pine on the pod.
A former player.
Yeah, I know.
What were you? Goalkeeper? Outfielder?
Absolutely
No, I
not. We're not having him in goal. No.
No, I played up front for Nelson.
Up front. Jeez, target,
Yeah.
man. Hey, difficult to handle.
I played. It was the big man, little man. I played up front with Batram Surrey.
That's
And,
some combination.
Wow.
That is the quintessential big man, little man. Bang it long. I try and get a flick on. Batty runs on and just fucking plants it. Magnificent. We played Miramar once at David Farrington Park. We won 6-4. Batty got 5 goals and won the meat raffle.
And the meat raffle.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good content.
Seamus, you were a goalkeeper, eh?
I was.
Still are? No?
No. God, no.
Don't play anymore?
No, I think my last senior performance, 2014. It's 11 years now.
Naru Owahia?
Yeah. Daniel Drake got sent off 2 times that season. The first time I'd been drinking
Nicest guy in the world.
till about 5 in the morning on game day in Hamilton. Missed the bus to go up to the game. Stephen Holloway was playing for Glenfield. We were playing Glenfield. Thankfully, he didn't play. And then after about 20 minutes, Daniel came flying out of the goal, clattered into someone, yellow card, and I'm thinking, dodged a bullet. Not so second half. And he comes out, red card. I come on. The ground is like this. My first task is to try and stop a pen. And I think it was Mikey Guiver
Yes.
taking the penalty.
Possibly also hungover, knowing Mikey.
Probably. I went the right way, but we lost. I think we lost 2-1.
I mean, you were majestic in goal. You may have been slightly impaired and inebriated that day, but I mean, the performances that you put in for our Byron Harris indoor football team, just absolutely magic.
I mean, for some period of time, Sunday night futsal was the highlight of my life.
Yeah. And mine too.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of those Sunday nights inebriated as well.
Well, you coming in smelling like cider the day after.
It wasn't good, man. It wasn't good.
It's a long time ago.
Anyway, we're not here to relive past glories. We're here to talk about what's going to happen this weekend. And Piney, how do Auckland FC avoid history repeating against Melbourne Victory? And by that I mean, same time last year, we saw Wellington Phoenix, who were red hot, host Melbourne Victory home and away, and they came unstuck in that home leg, the second leg. So what lessons can Auckland FC take from their fellow Kiwis going into this one?
Well, I think they really have to take it one game at a time to start with, not to use a cliche straight off the bat, another cliche. But they have to get the job done in Melbourne first. And in their favour is the last time they were over there, they played perhaps one of their best games of the season and came away with a 2-0 victory. Yes, it was a regular season game, but it's not as though Amy Park is a daunting place for Auckland FC to go. And we can perhaps chat about how Steve Corica might set them up in similar fashion, perhaps to the way he did that night, which was the back five. Look, I think they'll want to come home with the tie level. That's what Wellington Phoenix did last season. Of course, they came home after a 0-0 draw, brought the tie back to Wellington, but couldn't complete the job at home. I just get the feeling if you offered Steve Corica a draw in Melbourne, he'd bite your hand off for it. He'd say, yep, I'll take that. I'll come home, and then really you're talking about a sudden death game at home where Auckland FC have been very good for the most part. So, yeah, negotiating their way through the first half of this tie will be fascinating to watch, and especially the approach as far as the way he sets up is concerned.
And just looking back on New Zealand's most recent playoff experience, Shay, you know, you're a professional commentator. Have you ever...
Why are you laughing?
Never been called a professional anything to do with football. It's like when you hear something for the first time.
Embrace it. Enjoy the moment,
It smacks
Shay.
you in the face.
Have you ever left the commentary box during a game?
I haven't personally.
Interesting.
I've sometimes sort of like hung a head out in some of the commentaries I've done.
Just to get the
to get a
environment,
vibe. Yeah, no,
To get
I've
the
not.
smell.
I've never left the mic though.
Really?
Have you experienced or
I
seen
haven't.
someone that's done that?
I have.
Still time to play, says Daniel Elder. Flicked on towards Barbarousis. Is this the moment? Oscar Zavada! Absolute bedlam in the capital! Oscar Zavada has pulled it out of the fire! Can you believe it? They're level at the Cape Town, and Oscar Zavada is the main man again!
You can hear a clunk as I put the microphone down.
You threw it down.
And then I put the microphone down audibly. The clunk is audible. And then I stand up, and I don't actually leave the box. I just stand up and go over to a wall and try and sort of centre myself. What did happen, though, and I'm surprised that you don't remember this, and maybe you do, and maybe you're confusing the two things, is that during extra time, I did leave the commentary box because what had happened, I tend to drink quite a bit of water during a commentary. And as we reach 90 minutes in the game, you know, I'm normally ready to, you know, to get rid of some of that water. And so we go into added time, Zavada scores, and there is no break between then and when extra time begins. And by the time we're 10 minutes into extra time, I am absolutely busting to go to the toilet. I literally am going to do myself internal damage if I don't, because I've drunk about 4 bottles of water in the space of about an hour. And so I did actually leave and left you to it for about, I want to estimate, about 70 seconds while I got out, did what I had to do and came back. And I was in the toilet and you can hear the crowd, and it was my biggest fear that I would hear a cacophony of sound that would mean that I'd been out of the commentary box when another goal was scored. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but very unprofessional. You know, I would not have done it had you not been there to take the reins.
In our production meeting, because these are back in the days when I had a job and I was working that game, and it was decided that at the end of 90 minutes, myself and who was standing sideline with
Paul
me? Was it
Eiffel.
Paul
Eiffel,
Eiffel. We would pick up and give you guys a breather.
For the
And so-
toilet.
For the toilet. But it never happened because this guy's greedy.
What?
Yeah,
How am I
you
getting
didn't
blamed
throw
for
down
that?
to us.
About time.
You didn't throw down to us. So I was
He's
waiting.
in charge.
No, he's not. I was waiting for the commentary team to
Yes.
finish up. Yeah, but you're part of that commentary team. You know how it works.
Yeah,
You've
you
been doing
told
it
me.
for a long time.
You should tap
And
Piney
Why,
to
you're
the
not a
side.
professional commentator. What do you
we had vision ready to roll of all the key moments. We knew exactly what we were going to talk about. I've been sitting on this for a long
Yeah,
fucking
let
time.
it out. Let it out. About
And
time.
I
Controversy.
was so pissed off that I didn't get that opportunity, because then at the end of the game, it's like, well, all that shit's gone. And so we were ready there to cover your urination, and I wasn't given the opportunity.
Did any part of you consider, I won't leave my post
Oh, God.
and I'll just piss my pants and stay on the mic? Did
a Paul
any part of
Gothard.
you think about that?
Yeah.
Not a single part of me thought that, Shay, but a small part of me did consider and did even look quite longingly at one of the empty water bottles.
Yes. Yeah.
And wondered how that might go down. Look, to my eternal credit, I didn't do that. But yeah, no, I never considered soiling myself.
I mean, it's something that a lot of gamblers do. I don't spend a lot of time in casinos, gentlemen, but I've heard about the gambling urination device, which is actually a bicycle tyre inner tube that you attach to the old fella and run down the inside of your pant leg so that you can stay on your machine. You don't want to leave it in case like the next person up has the lucky strike. Yeah.
We've got a zero tolerance policy on that show.
Well, I was going to say it's an interesting option for if there is the possibility of extra time and penalties, just to have that in your locker.
Yeah.
You never know when you might need it. Just
What we could do is follow script and throw down, couldn't we? That would be a better idea.
that's
Mate, I couldn't give a toss what you do this time around. I'm not there. Wet yourself and keep going. That's what I'd suggest.
It'd be a good look post match, wouldn't it? When you get down to do some of the IVs on the pitch.
Maybe
Piney, what's happened there? Oh,
wear
spilled
some
some water.
dark slacks.
Just full extension of the arm, mate. No one wants to be near. The urination chat stays in, but
I think so. Yeah.
It plays.
Definitely
I think
the
it plays.
urination. Yeah.
Pulling the curtain back.
Yeah. Well, pulling something back to urinate.
right.
Oh, unless you're circumcised.
Yeah. I would have just gone on my pants, I reckon.
This chat's descended. I think we need to get back on track.
Yeah.
And let's look at the fixture itself. Yeah, it's Melbourne Victory and Auckland FC. The Black Knights are in a semi-final. What are some of the key matchups that we're looking forward to that might determine the outcome of the game, Seamus?
Oh, MVP. Guillermo Mai is the one for me. If you look at purely, and I tend to do this when I feel like I'm invested as a fan in a game, you only look at your own side. So I've drunk from the Kool-Aid big time from Auckland FC.
As a Hamiltonian, you're in on Auckland FC.
Oh, look, I was a New Zealand Knights fan when I lived up here. And it's a constant callback I have, but like those were some of the happiest moments I have as a football fan. So the fact that there is top class football an hour's drive away from a lot of us down there, I think there's a whole bunch of the football community that are up and down every week, and you know you are supporting the team. So look, from our perspective, I think to jump on Piney's point, if he goes with a solid, I think you're right. I think if he comes away with a draw, very very happy. So if they start setting the stall out defensively, which seems to be a hallmark of the way they've played this year, it's very difficult to break down defensively. But if one of those moments of magic from Mai, anywhere in the top third, that will just set that game alight. But also there's threats on either side. Again, selfishly, the Waikato boy, Tainui man, Logan Rogerson, if he can get a half chance, it just bodes well. So I think from that perspective, definitely that. On the other side, if you can stop Arzani, I think you go a long way to stopping the victory.
Big job.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because that's one of the matchups that really fascinates me because you've got two guys, Arzani versus Frankie de Vries, and they create a lot of opportunities for their sides. And I think combined, they've combined for 100 chances created this A-League season.
That's a great stat.
Yeah. So a lot is going to be happening on that side of the field for the Black Knights and Melbourne Victory. And obviously they're two different players. Frankie is a defensive player who gets forward and he whips in those crosses, whereas Arzani is one of the most technically gifted players that the A-League has. And he will obviously engage de Vries and Nando Peinecker, and it's up to those guys to try and nullify what he's doing. So yeah, that's something that really excites me. And I mean, Seamus, you'd know this, having watched me battle on the field and on the futsal court. I'm a sucker for a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, Verstraete,
so Verstraete, I'm all in on Verstraete, and the matchup between he and mishaps. You know, they're big, strong individuals. Mishaps has a little bit of flair about him, but Verstraete is so defensively sound. I mean, you're a goalkeeper, so clearly you're going to be excited about Alex Paulson and Jack Duncan. And this is a really interesting one for me because Jack Duncan, he spent a long time sitting on the bench behind AP at the Wellington Phoenix. Yeah. The Knicks let him go, and all of a sudden here he is in a semi-final against Auckland FC for victory.
I hadn't thought about that.
Well, I'll put it in your mind.
Yeah, I connected the dots on Saturday night watching the game.
No, you didn't.
I definitely did. I was like, oh, there's that guy, and then I fell asleep.
No,
missed the final result.
I think, although you've already touched on them, the game by and large, because of the way Victory play, gets decided out wide, and Arzani up against de Vries and Valupale against Sakai, I think is where the chances will come from. That's where the margin is going to be, because Victory commit their fullbacks on so high, and I really like what Steve did in the back five, where he wanted to nullify but then appreciated that he could counter into the space. That said, engine room, you've got to earn your right to play the game, and I think that privilege will come through a number of battles in midfield, but importantly, my charge up against Verstrata. That is going to be a pure football purists battle, Piney. That's where I'm so intrigued to see how they manoeuvre and then think about each other.
I am too, and I just wonder whether, because they are both so proficient, so good, whether it becomes a movable object, irresistible force, and they cancel one another out. So therefore, your midfield battle actually becomes Ryan Teague, who sits at the base of Melbourne Victory's midfield, against perhaps Jake Brimmer, up against his former side, trying to provide ammunition for the likes of Mai and Rogerson, Moreno, whoever it is they go for. You're right, there are matchups all across the pitch. I think Verstrata, like I say, is as good as at nullifying an opposition attacking midfielder as anybody in the comp. Ryan Teague impresses me greatly. Jake Brimmer's got a lot to prove in this game. You'll notice also Daniel Arzani popped up on the left side of Melbourne Victory's attack against Western Sydney the other night and set up the winning goal, actually. I don't get the feeling he'll do that against Hiroki Sakai. They must have identified a mismatch, but there ain't no mismatch when Hiroki Sakai's the defender. So, I think the Arzani, De Vries, and will Arzani track Franny? When Franny goes forward, will Arzani track him? Or will actually they say, don't worry about that, we've got you covered. You go and play free, Daniel Arzani, particularly at home. Don't worry about Franny De Vries coming forward. We got him covered. You just, you cheat a bit in the nicest possible way and make yourself an attacking proposition entirely in the home league.
The other thing that I'm really hoping for, but particularly in the first week of this two-legged affair, is that Amy Park shows up. Victory, Blue Bloods, massive support, one of the biggest clubs in the competition. I want to see a proper playoffs atmosphere. I want to see it become a absolute forge. And it's got to be a cauldron to really, really make you feel like there's that added sense of jeopardy, that the cliff is just so much closer. And that
why wouldn't they turn up?
Intensity. It's a challenge that the A-League is facing at the moment, but if you can create the atmosphere, the intensity ramps up and you feel it through the screen. And then Auckland has a chance to respond the next week. That's the thing.
Yeah, we know Auckland's going to respond, but it's potentially Melbourne Victory's last match of the season. It is their last match of the season at home, right? So if you don't turn up now, when are you going to turn up? One of the points that I'd like to make, and we're talking about Verstrata and Guillermo Mai. One of the things we often say is that imports into this league, they need a little bit of time to find their feet. Auckland FC's imports have been absolutely phenomenal as soon as they've touched ground in the A-League. Now, why is that? Is that because the scouting was so good? Is it because Steve Corica is an incredible coach? Seamus, what are your feelings on why they have had such a good impact, a positive impact on this Auckland FC side?
I think one of the things that's really impressed me about Auckland FC has been the stuff that you don't necessarily see on the screen. So it's what's the support network in and around the club. And I think, we've seen it in terms of the marketing, community engagement. I think those elements, whatever they've got in terms of pastoral care for these players, I think is having a really, really positive effect, whether it's making sure they've got vehicles, making sure they're able to dine, being shown around the city. I think there's enough people within that wider Auckland FC framework that they can get their arm around them and show them some of Auckland's nice spots and make them feel like they are at home. Because, I think you had Guillermo in last week as well. We was talking about the port and talking so positivly about the support.
Love how you've referenced back to another episode. That's great, mate.
People
Thank
watch.
you. Yeah.
People watch. Don't sleep on that.
Podcasting royalty here as well.
But I feel like there is that sense, and you guys maybe were surprised that I would feel so strongly towards Auckland FC. But I think there is that.
I'm not.
There is that feeling that it is. There's something about that ownership that people want it to succeed, and they want the players to succeed. There's a tactile element to it as well.
Success,
well, just on that point, and Piney, you would have seen at the Wellington Phoenix over the years, players that come and go, and some are comfortable and some are just incredibly uncomfortable. I'm thinking of somebody like Ian Saas, who didn't speak a lick of English, and he was almost like ostracised because he couldn't fit in, man.
But it's so right. You can't possibly perform to your full potential on the field unless you are at least mostly comfortable off the field. And yes, that's a big part of it. I also think an even bigger part, perhaps, is that Steve Corica and Terry McFlynn, who are in charge of recruitment, know exactly what is required to succeed in the A-League. To have 5 imports all successful, that very rarely happens. For every successful import, there's one who, turns up in a club's historical worst ever 11. For Terry McFlynn and Steve Corica to have got them all right straight away. Look, I don't think they were taking much of a gamble.
Name names, Piney. Name names.
Oh, surely it's Johnny from Wellington
No,
Phoenix,
George.
right?
Was it George Palandini?
No, hey. It's almost my name, mate. Don't throw him in the mix.
I think Jiang Chen was probably the. I think he's the
Johnny.
case study if you're looking
That's
for
Johnny.
anyone. Johnny Chen. Yeah. Anyway, the way that they've recruited has been superb. Having said that, it's interesting, isn't it? You look at Wellington, and they have recruited some terrific imports: Zavada, Krajev, Uli Davila, even Paul Eiffel. Who had heard of Paul Eiffel really, apart from dyed-in-the-wool Millwall and Sheffield United fans before he turned up? The same with Auckland's imports. I would defy most people to know the names Guillermo Mai, Felipe Gallegos, Neidar Moreno, Louis Verstrata before this season. They must get hundreds and hundreds of pitches from agents saying, hey, this is your man, this guy can play, he'll score you 15 goals, he'll do this, he'll do that. To be able to weed through those and find the ones who will succeed within the framework that you've created from the ground up, I think you have to give a huge amount of kudos to Terry McFlynn and Steve Corica for that.
We've just been interrupted by the phone ringing.
I thought that was it.
It's an agent trying to pitch a player.
Yeah. We've got someone out of Uruguay. It's Guillermo Mai's
He's going to get you 15 goals.
We've got a 6'4" player from Nelson.
Yeah.
Great big man. That can play.
But you've got to sign a Solomon Islander alongside him or else it won't work.
You've got to play up front.
That's right. You can be that Solomon Islander up front.
Oh, mate, imagine that. Me and Piney up top for a social
So
team
good.
would be a disaster.
Please make that
Big
happen.
man, bigger man.
So I think we're forming quite a good futsal team right here, aren't
Yeah.
we? So you guys up front. I'm the holding midfielder. You're in goal.
Yeah.
Why?
Just need one more.
Yeah.
Get an IFE or someone like that. in.
Guillermo
Yeah,
Mai.
that
Get him in.
helps.
Got a
That
long off
helps
season.
to get Ifey in.
Just so, Piney, we'll be up in studio doing a build-up, and then obviously we'll have a New Zealand-based commentary on the weekend. But you'll be down here.
Yes, I will be, and it's going to be pandemonium. I'm picking it to be an absolutely crazy night. So
what's happening, mate?
Yeah, so obviously we do our thing here at Tyler Street Sport Bar.
You're
but-
invited too.
Thank
yeah,
you.
you can come along, mate. But they're closing down the surrounding streets, and the square just adjacent to Tyler Street Sport Bar is going to be full of people. Massive big screen up in front of Tiffany. I'm going to be in here doing what Betcha are calling their very first hosted pot, where through the week we're encouraging people to pool their money together. We're going to place bets on the night and just add an extra layer of excitement to what will be a really awesome moment in New Zealand football history. So yeah, get amongst it. I'll be hosting the pot. I'll be here with the port and everybody else, and yeah, it's going to be something special. Are you going to come along, Shay?
I will be in the Hawke's Bay, but if you can video call me in.
Okay,
I'll be watching.
we'll put you up on the big screen above Tiffany, mate.
Maybe don't do that.
Piney, what were those shows back in the day when you were a teenager? Were you like phone in for fundraising? What were they called?
Telethon.
Telethon.
Yeah,
You're
there you
talking
go.
about Telethon.
Telethon, yeah.
Yeah, that was what, mainly on black and white television, Jacob.
I remember
Everyone
Telethon.
remembers Telethon.
Yeah. This guy's taking the piss. You remember Telethon.
I was never involved in a telethon.
Didn't
Well,
get
I was
down
never
to-
involved in a
Oh,
telethon,
I mean,
but I
yeah,
watched
God.
Didn't get down to Palmy, did it? No. They just bypassed that. They went to all the other urban centres, but they bypassed Palmy.
We're trying to raise money.
it. Well, let's
It was
phone
for
in.
Palmy. That was
Let's phone in some predictions here, guys, because we need to understand what is going to happen. I feel like, Piney, you're heading towards a draw in the first leg. Are you sticking with that?
Yeah, I think Victory will come at Auckland FC. They will absolutely come at them. So, look, I am picking a draw, but only because Auckland's defence is so good. I think they're the only team probably in the league who can repel at Amy Park the weapons that Arthur Dillis has at his disposal. Valupale, Arzani, Mishaps, Fornaroli. We haven't even mentioned him coming off the bench. So, yeah, I'm picking a draw, but only because Auckland FC are so good defensively. I'm picking a goalless draw in the first leg.
Shay, you can go next because I'm not sure yet.
I think I go with a narrow Auckland FC win.
Yeah.
I think there'll be goals in the game. but I think a 2-1 win back to the Port and advantage Auckland FC.
I'm backing your man, Guillermo Mai. I loved the confidence that he spoke with last week on the pod, and if you haven't seen it, make sure you check out the Unused Subs, episode 17, with Guillermo Mai. It is a really good one. I feel like he and his teammates will be so rucked up for this one. They don't want to come back to Mount Smart with the score level. They want to get it done very early in this tie. So I'm thinking an Auckland FC win. I wonder if they repeat the damage of 3.5 weeks ago and it's like a 2-0.
The only red flag I'll throw on this is the week off, and whether that we haven't spoken about that, but whether that comes into the equation. I don't think it does.
I don't like it. It's sold as like a freshener for the better teams in the competition, but it stores momentum.
That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. So whether it takes them a little bit of time to ease into the game versus a team that's coming off the back of having played consistently.
Spoon, you've had enough time now to gather your thoughts. Prediction time.
I like the 2-1. I think
in favour of the Black Knights?
The ambitious Aucklander in me likes a 2-1 because I can't see Victory denying Auckland because they've got too much, it feels like. Equally, Victory have the ability to score from literally anywhere. We saw Virgos run about 70 metres down in Wellington, Piney, and then you put Velupile and Azani alongside him, Marchash, the battering ram through the middle, Ryan Teague pulling strings. It's a lot to try and contain, especially if Amy Parker's raucous.
I'm going to stick with 0-0, but I like the way all of you are thinking.
I love the way you're thinking, that you would appear on episode 18 of the Unused Subs. Make sure you check it out on YouTube, Spotify. Is this what you do on your podcast
what do you
to
do?
generate interest? Or
Subscribe,
yeah,
like, whatever.
Hit the subscribe button and like.
We also had Jason Pine on, and that for us was the tipping point and really broke us into
this is
mainstream.
exciting.
So
Right,
you
here we
guys
go.
have followed the blueprint perfectly.
The catalyst.
There it is.
Jason Pine.
What happened? What happened was they did me, and then they thought we can't go on like this. We have to lift our game. We have to find some decent.
You're still a
guests.
catalyst.
That was,
Whatever
you're
way
right,
you look
was
at it,
the
mate.
catalyst.
Yeah.
It was the tipping point. It was what took you from very mediocre to where you are now.
I can't remember which way around. It might have been Pine then Nelson, or it might have been Nelson then Pine. I'm not
Right.
sure, but it was that combination that
combination.
really, took us to the next stratosphere.
Oh, what a combination, though. Far out.
Oh, so we've done the predictions. Piney, let's just give us out of 10 in terms of excitement levels. How fizzed are you looking forward to this one?
Oh, very much. I think that the only thing I would say is that it's the away leg first. And so when the final whistle blows on Saturday night, we're only halfway there. Yes, there'll be elation if Auckland FC get a good result. Yes, there'll be, the Port, I'm sure, down there will be absolutely jumping, probably regardless. But the real elation, I think, will come the following week at Go Media when passage, hopefully, to the grand final is secured. But having said that, look, finals football, we've experienced it with the Phoenix many times. I just cannot wait for the next, I hope anyway, 3 weeks of football for the Black Knights. Just absolutely fizzed for it.
Look, I had an absence in my sporting calendar last weekend, which is normally filled by Auckland FC. So I was missing that kind of appointment viewing that I've started to have into my week by week. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday. But I'm like Piney. I will be a very, very excited fan at Go Media Stadium in a couple of weeks' time, looking to cheer home that team and hopefully getting in early to get a seat for the final, which I think is incredible news in terms of football. That was confirmed last week by Nick Becker. Excellent to get that out of the way, communicated up front and early as well. And hopefully it's just another milestone in what's been an incredible year for New Zealand football so far.
We had the Wellington Phoenix seemingly kind of break ice last year. This feels like a continuation of that. Two footballing cities up against each other, and I do say footballing cities. Auckland doesn't have the history that Melbourne has, but we've produced some wonderful footballers. Got our own platform now, our own team. A good 8 out of 10. I've got another 2 to get up to towards the weekend.
What a wonderful period it has been for New Zealand football. We're looking at Auckland FC going to a grand final potentially. Last year with Wellington Phoenix.
Woodsy
almost
scored
getting there.
20 goals in the Premier League.
Exactly. 20 goals in the Premier League for Chris Wood. We've co-hosted a FIFA Women's World Cup. It is a golden period. And with the All Whites going to the World Cup across Canada, USA, Mexico next year, what a time to be alive for a New Zealand football fan.
And we've got Jason Pine and Seamus Marten on the same podcast. It is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Episode 18, it'll go down as a tipping point for the Unused Subs, no doubt.